Okay, so let's proceed with fast steps. What are the fast steps you need to do with your Ubuntu installation? Specifically, here we are running with Ubuntu 25.04. So you'll just confirm here. Okay. So you're running Ubuntu. This is 25.04. Okay, and then the release, of course, is 25.04. The code name is Plucky Puffin. So in the first video, we installed the initial updates. Once you get the welcome screen, and then you get the initial updates that come in here. So we are going to proceed with how do you get set up, and then you actually begin to do whatever you need to do with Ubuntu 25.04. So enough chit chat, let's jump into it. I'm going to go through my normal setup flow whenever I'm doing this. So first things first, some house cleaning, okay? Remember we had pinned our software updater here. One of the things that I usually do regularly, well, I find myself doing this every day, just to be able to check if there are any updates to your system. But do this regularly. If I usually find whenever I'm seeing users on their machine, sometimes they take so long before they install updates. Remember, security and maintenance updates to your laptop are very, very important. There's lots of malware and phishing attempts out there. You want to work with a system that you know has the latest security and maintenance updates to give you the best possible security that you need for your device. So this is very important. Do it as often as you can, at least on a daily or weekly basis, but definitely go ahead and do that. For Ubuntu 25.04, there's really not much else you need to do when you come to the settings here for the software updater. But when we look at 24.04, the LTS version, remember we've talked about something called Ubuntu Pro. Okay, that is going to be important when we are using that. But for 25.04, really, there's not much else you need to do here. So this, you can actually just leave it out, and we will focus on Ubuntu Pro when we come to the LTS version. Okay, so that's out of the way. Then as far as updating your system, especially since it's a first time, I usually like to also update the software from the App Center. So the App Center is where you have a lot of the softwares already installed. Now this is useful also for you. What I would do is that more often than not, there will always be some softwares that need updating from the App Store. After that, if you keep on running the software updater, either from the software updater GUI or from the terminal, it should keep most of your updates, most of your packages up to date. But for this time, what we'll do is that we're going to go ahead and update this. Okay, so we can see we have some updates here for Firefox and for Thunderbird. I'll go ahead and update all of this. You'll need to put in your password, and then you get started. So, okay, should be good now. Now, again, let's a little bit into password management. Remember, if you followed our our previous videos concerning how to download your Linux image, how to write it, and then install it, then coming here onto fast steps in this particular series, then you will notice that there's two passwords that we have put in. One is the password, the encryption password for your hard drive. Okay, so this is when you actually start your laptop. You're sort of like in a black screen, and then it's asking you for the password at the bottom. Remember that password, it's very important. So that's your encryption password, okay, for your files, for your hard disk. Secondly, there is now your login password. Now the second time when you come to the login screen, it shows your name and profile icon and your password. So that's the other password. So far we have two passwords that you need to be able to keep track of. One of the things that I'll also guide you on is where to be able to sort of save those passwords. I recommend a number of places. One, it's your browser, whether you're using Firefox or Google Chrome. Most of your not most of your browsers, actually all browsers, they do have a password manager. So you'll find that sometimes when you're logging into a particular account or creating an account, they actually do ask whether you want to save your password. In some cases, when you're creating an account, they could even suggest a password for you. It's also that's recommended. I would recommend to use that option. As a system admin, I've worked, managing the ICT departments for a number of companies. And so it's one of the challenges that I've come across when it comes to users in the workplace or even personally. We get caught up in what we want to do with our laptops, and we don't remember some of these housekeeping, security, privacy kind of measures, and they are very, very important. They could mean the difference between you getting hacked, you falling for a phishing attempt, you installing malware on your laptop and either losing money or losing your data. So one of the things that I'm going to be covering as I'm guiding you on getting set up is what are the things to keep in mind from a system admin perspective. And password management is going to be one of those key things. So just keep in mind that we have two passwords we're currently managing, the encryption password and your login password from your laptop. The moment we get set up and we are now starting on, the browser and whatnot, I'll guide us on how to. I personally use LastPass, and I used to use Kaspersky Password Manager. Okay, so either of those two would work. So I use in terms of managing my passwords, I use a combination of my browsers remembering my passwords. I have LastPass, I have Kaspersky Password Manager on my phone from when I used to use it, but I have since transferred most of my passwords that I manage from Kaspersky Password Manager to LastPass. And so I'll guide us on those three, at least just to be able to get set up. But in case you're wondering, then yes, feel free to use either one of those password managers to be able to go ahead and do what you need to do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just pause this so that we can proceed once these updates have been done. Okay, so updates are done. If we check for updates once more, we are good to go. All right, so that's out of the way. We can now proceed to getting started. So now we can go ahead and open our browser and then we begin. Nowadays, a lot of work is done on, on the web, whether it's systems that you're accessing usually on the cloud. So the next thing I want us to focus on is your browser. By default, Ubuntu here comes with Linux installed out of the box. That's because Firefox is open source. We can go ahead and download other browsers, okay? Specifically, I'll guide us on how to download Google Chrome, one of the other more popular browsers. I personally use both, so, I'll get set up on these two. Now, let's begin with Firefox. The initial setup that I usually go through with my Firefox is this. I find myself having to use my work laptop and my home laptop a lot. And sometimes what you want is to be able to carry on your history and your bookmarks from different devices. And just to be able to save them, even when you get a new laptop and that kind of thing. So signing into your browser is important. One, I don't need to import from a different browser, so this I will skip. But I will need to sign in, and I'll sign in a short while. Here, I don't need to personalize my Firefox. I skip that step. Sync it across data devices. Now, this is what is important. So if you don't already have a Firefox account, now, remember, we are going to be signing into very many different accounts. Password management is going to be important. We've already spoken about that. So here I'll just be guiding you on how I personally do it. So signing up for a Firefox account helps you to be able to move over your password, bookmarks, and more. And then they're securely stored and available whenever you sign into any other device. This is important. I'll go ahead and sign in. Now, I'm going to assume here, and I'm going to use an account, that's not my daily whatever, just to help somebody get started from scratch. If you already have a Firefox account, go ahead and sign in, and you'll just use your account. But here I'm going to actually create a new account with an email that hasn't signed up for Firefox, so that you'll be able to see how that works. Customize this sidebar. No, I don't want to. In fact, I don't want to use it. I actually remove it from the toolbar. like I said, I like my browser being clean and minimalist, so I'm not going to be using that. Then I'm going to go ahead and put in my email. So for my case here, we are using eclick254@gmail.com. This is my email, and I'm using this so that if anyone sees it, I don't get spammed too much. But fun fact, if you see my video and you need assistance with any of the tutorials that I have shared, feel free to email me on this email. That's totally fine. So I'm going to go ahead and sign up. Okay, it doesn't have an account here. So it's going to ask me to create a password. Now this is, okay, will it actually suggest a password for me? No, it will not suggest. Okay, fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and come up with a password. All right, so just give me a moment as I do that. Okay, all right. So this is going to be my password. So then I will sign in. Then now this is the thing. So Firefox will ask whether it wants to save that password. Okay. I will actually say yes. However, you can see that it's telling me incorrect password. In my case here, I know it is because I don't actually have this account. Okay. So what I'll do is that I will use a different account. Is it use a different account for password? No, actually I should create an account. Okay, let's just see how to. Yeah, let's create account. Asking me to sign up. Why don't you help me to actually create an account? Okay, or do I actually have an account already? Okay, let me see. Actually, it's okay. Let's see how to go through this issue. Okay, so I'm not sure, and it happens. You don't know, do I have an account? Do I not? I think I don't. It should ask me to create an account, but anyway, what you want to do is to just reset your password. So I was actually here. I say forgot password. I enter my email, and it will actually prompt me. Okay, so they've sent a confirmation email to my Gmail. Okay, so again, I've just gotten set up. I've seen the email on my phone, but I realize, I need to get that email here. Okay, on my phone. So I'm actually going to set up that email here on my phone as on my laptop as well, so that it's easier to just check on that. So just let's actually get that one set up. So first of all, I will come here and, oh yeah, I usually personalize a few things. One, I don't want this row here, so I'll just uncheck that. I want some nice images for my browser. I like to go with this. Okay. All right, that's that. Then I'll just go again. There are no bookmarks I'm importing. I'll remove this from the toolbar. Okay. Then we'll go to Google. And what I'll need to do is to sign in. So I'll go sign in so that I have my account. Okay, so just put in my email. No need to put at gmail2.25@gmail.com because we're already on Gmail. I do know that this is my password. Okay, we sign in. Good. Yes, then I do want my browser to remember my password, so I'll save that. Then I'll need to confirm this on my phone, whether I'm trying to sign in, because I've put in two-step verification for my Gmail account. Again, very important, especially on Gmail. You want to make sure that you have two-step verification applied. Okay, so we are good here. Let me go ahead and maximize this. So we have my Gmail here. Then one of the things I like to do is to make sure that I pin this tab so that it's always there. And yes, I do want to enable notifications so that when emails come in, then I can be able to manage them. Okay, so here it is. I can see my reset code. I will put in this code. No, here. Okay, then I'll continue. Okay, let's see. Your browser data may not be recovered. Okay. Okay, good. So it's asking me to now create a strong password. Okay. So most services will actually help guide you to ensure that you create a strong password. I usually use a passphrase separated by special characters with some lowercase and uppercase characters. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll put in, I think it has already picked up the password that I had set up. Yes, get this password. All right. Now, on your own laptop, you can actually go ahead and pick and just be sure that this is the password that you're working with. I will need to pause this video first so that I can pick. That way I don't. Good. I've confirmed. I've picked this is the correct password I want to use. Remember, it's the password I had typed in when I was trying to sign into Firefox, and then I actually asked the browser to remember it. So it does. I'll create that password. And now I have my Firefox account password set up. Now remember, from here on out, for most services online, I actually won't need to remember those passwords because my browser will actually remember the password for me. If I go back to my emails, then okay, this was the security alert to log in, and then this is the confirmation that my password has been reset. Good. And you can be able to check your passwords if you come to your settings, this Gmail settings or browser settings. I think those are Gmail settings. If you come to your settings here, actually, yeah, it's already here. Okay. So on this drop down menu, go to passwords. It will actually show you your passwords, and you can go ahead and pick at your passwords to confirm what's a password. So you can see that my browser is remembering my Firefox password and my Gmail password. Okay, tied to my account. And it's very easy to just pick and confirm what the password is if I need to type it out somewhere on my phone or wherever, or I can actually copy it and then paste it into whatever tab or window that I'm on. All right, so good. I think from here then we are good. My password has been reset. Great. We can now proceed. So we have our browser. We've logged in with our Gmail account. We've logged in with our Firefox account. You can see that now it's syncing on our device. So that means that all the history, the bookmarks and whatnot that will be carried out here, I'll be able to have them available on any device. So as far as the browser is concerned, that's done. Now, Firefox might not be your browser of choice, okay? So maybe you want to go ahead and download Google Chrome. So we just go ahead and search for Google Chrome. Okay, so we'll go ahead and download Chrome. So this will now take us into how to just go ahead and download and set up, a new package. So we'll just download Chrome here. Now, whenever you're working with Ubuntu, most of the time, and this is the reason why I like Ubuntu, especially the LTS version, is that you will most likely, and because Ubuntu is one of the most popular distributions, Linux distributions, a lot of the softwares, typical softwares that you're going to need to use, will actually give you some good instructions for how to install them, within your Ubuntu, distribution or OS. So here you can see we want the 64-bit.deb. That's what we will actually install. And it's going to go ahead and install it. Okay, doesn't take too long. We can wait for it. Now there's two ways to install it. With the previous videos we had, you can see that you can either double click it in the usual way like a Windows program, or you can install it with the command line. I personally like to use the command line, and this is how I usually go about it. Once I open the folder where it has been downloaded, I just open that directory in my terminal, and then what I do is that I run sudo dpkg. Now, typically you just run that, but one of the things I like to do, especially because this is the first time that we are running the terminal, I just like to make sure that all the packages have been updated. Okay, so apt is the package management software for Ubuntu, and I just want to make sure that it's been updated and synced with all the different sources. So I'll go ahead and run sudo apt update. Okay, it's just going to go ahead and refresh all our download sources. So these are the repositories where our softwares are going to be coming from. Then after that, I run sudo apt upgrade. Okay, so we can see there's nothing that needs to be upgraded. Then I'll run ls. So Google Chrome, this is the chrome.deb, that file that we just downloaded. And how you want to install it is to run do sudo dpkg -i and then select Google Chrome. Let me maximize this. So it's just going to install it within a few seconds. So I find a little bit about how Ubuntu manages their software, which I think is a very efficient way to do it over and above how Windows goes about it, is that whenever you are installing a Windows software or program, it usually takes a lot more resources from your laptop than Linux does. So Linux is a lot more efficient when it comes to managing software and packages. This is because on Windows, when you download Google Chrome, it actually downloads every dependency that it needs to run. So it has a lot of softwares, a lot of helper, dependencies or packages or softwares to make it run. On Linux, however, what it does is that it only downloads what it needs to be able to run. A lot of the dependencies that are required would already be in place. Okay, so it's a lot more efficient in the way that it manages packages, and you can find out a lot more about this. Go online when you're checking about how Linux package management solutions work. So this is why you will find a lot of times, among other reasons, a lot of times if you're running old hardware, old laptops, desktops, and you want to give them a second life, you are much better going with Linux. It uses very few system resources than Windows does. Windows is a lot heavier, requires a lot more resources to be able to run. So that's why you'll find Windows be comparatively slower on the same hardware, same laptop, same desktops, if you install Windows 11 or Windows 10 versus Linux, Ubuntu, Mint, or whatnot. So just something to keep in mind. But once we've installed that, then we are good to go. The only thing that now we need to do is we'll click on the super key, search for Google, there it is. And I like to pin this to my dock as well. So once it has been pinned, then I can go ahead and open it. Now, something with Windows management, you've already seen that if you have multiple tabs on your desktop, and this is going to be important for productivity, if you click on the super key, then it displays all your windows, all your windows. And you can be able to switch from one window to the other very easily by simply clicking on the super key, Windows key. Another way to go about it is you have different desktops. So the way I usually work is that I usually like to switch from one desktop to another. You can see on the right here, there's another desktop here. And if I click on the super key, then I can click and get back to the desktop that I'm on. So, and a nice keyboard shortcut for that is simply to press Control Alt Direction. So in my case, you press your direction keys up, down, left, right. You just press Control Alt right, it moves right, Control Alt left, moves back to this particular window that we are on here. So we can actually just go ahead and go to Control Alt right, takes me to this other window, and then I can open my Google Chrome on this window here. So from here, the process for installing it is really the same like on Windows. You can either choose to make it your default browser or not. And then if you want to automatically send usage, you can be able to do that. And there you have it. You will go ahead and sign in to Chrome. And from here, then you are good to go. A final thing that I would want to highlight is where to get help, okay, with your Linux distribution. So you've gotten set up on Linux, you know how to update it, you know how to go ahead and set up your browser and sign in and whatnot. I can't cover every single thing that you would need to be able to know, but at least what I've covered should be enough to help you on your first steps with a new Linux operating system. Ubuntu's website has a lot of resources. I would definitely recommend that you come here if you need to be able to get help. Now, the help that you will need would be here, okay? So if you come to the community section, you have lots of resources, tutorials, documentations. You have forums where you can go ahead and ask questions. So feel free to jump into this. The other way that I would point you to would be to simply go ahead and Google something like install Google Chrome, or let's go with Dropbox. No, Dropbox, you'll do it from their own website, but let's just assume you want a tutorial for that. Install Dropbox on Ubuntu 25.04. You will most likely get some. So first, especially now with AI and whatnot, you'll get some AI overview here, which most of the time would be correct. So feel free to follow this along. But you can also look out for any videos that are telling you the same thing. I like to look at videos that are specifically tailored to the distribution that I'm on. That's why I used 25.04. Okay, so I would go ahead and check. Okay, this one you can see how to install Dropbox, but it's on Ubuntu 20.04. This one you can see on Ubuntu Handbook. This one is how to install Dropbox in Ubuntu 24.04/22.04, and so on and so forth. I usually like to look for the one that is specifically tailored to my distribution and also the latest, so that you can be sure that you're getting information that is up to date as much as possible. But the best way that I would actually recommend, first of all, this actually brings me to another point, why I usually recommend that users go with the LTS version. Remember, we covered that here when we were downloading our Ubuntu desktop. Okay, when you go to download Ubuntu, you have the choice of either 24.04 or 25.04. And if you haven't gone through this process, you can go ahead and check it out from our YouTube video. It's available. You click 2.54 YouTube. You should be able to get it here. Yes, get started with Linux. Okay, so this is sort of like a progression for this series, so this would help you. But just a quick overview is that there are a lot more resources available for the LTS version of Ubuntu than for the absolutely latest version, simply because the latest version is only going to be supported for about 9 months. Okay, but this one, because it's supported for 5 years, you will definitely have come across somebody who has faced a challenge that you're facing. And so if I was to actually go ahead and search for how to install Dropbox on Ubuntu 24.04, I'd get a lot more relevant hits. Okay, so here you can see this one was actually done last year, 2024, how to install Dropbox in Ubuntu 24.04. So you can be sure that this tutorial will be a lot more relevant for your specific situation if you are running the LTS version, and so on and so forth. You can see somebody has a problem here. How do I configure Dropbox on Ubuntu 24.04? So there's lots of resources to help you getting started with Linux. With that, I hope that that is useful or has been useful to be able to help you get set up on Ubuntu 25.04. The other videos that I'll be covering, a lot more moving forward especially, are going to be videos where the assumption for me is going to be that you're running the LTS version of Ubuntu 24.04.3. Check out my previous videos for how that one has been done. Follow through with the guide. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask me. Check the links in the description. Feel free to ask me any questions there. And you can also email me on eclick254@gmail.com. If you are around the Nairobi area and you might need assistance, I would be very happy to be able to assist. We can be able to discuss and get you up and running. The next video I'm going to cover would be, of course, on Ubuntu 24.04. But what I'm going to do is just a snippet of what I'll be covering is to give you a roadmap, especially for those people who are interested in becoming developers or getting to learn a little bit about system admin. just some useful tips for how I got started. So that if you're getting started with Linux, once you've gotten through the initial, obstacles of installing it and maneuvering, and now you really want to do something, like I mentioned earlier, for work, for business, just a hobby, you want to get into software development, then this will be able to help you with that. I'll also be doing tutorials about Odoo and whatever it is that we're learning here concerning how to get set up with Linux. When now we come to actually look at Odoo, then all that is going to become very relevant for you. I'll be covering some technical topics around it, helping you to get started on Odoo as well. So look out for our next videos, and yeah, catch you in the next ones.